AllBall TV.
They scared, but I'm not.
They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.
I was a big Porzingis fan. Big time. He was the unicorn for a reason. That draft pick was crazy. And that's an example of, for me personally, I don't watch college ball. You know, I personally believe all that stuff is kind of predatory, but it's like the world we live in now where we're monetizing everything, right? So it's almost like now we have to participate in this. And the summer program is the best for me to tell a lot of these guys' talent. Someone who was highly touted. I forgot where D'Angelo Russell went to in college, but when he came to the league and I saw him in the summer games, I just thought, even watching the college highlights, I said, damn, LB Wavy was good, baby. I said, damn, D'Angelo Russell looks like he's a step ahead of everybody. That's how he looked to me on a video. So you can tell he was purely talented. Another guy who I was impressed by during the summer games was Porzingis. And even just watching his videotapes that they would show us, I'm like, bro, he's 7'4". Like, of course, we could run down the line and Ralph Sampson and Bobo's another guy. His high school highlights are crazy. People start, shout out to my guy Corn, shout out to Uptown. He put me on to Bobo when he was in high school, and I'm like, yo, that's Munu Bo's son. He looks crazy, right? I think you saw Shaq. He was trying to boost up Bobo, still that's his guy, but he went back on his word, right? Shaq initially was saying, hey, this guy's just as talented as Wemby. Like, what's the difference? And since then, Shaq went back on and he turned back on his word and he said, yo, he doesn't work as hard as I thought, right? You can't deny work ethic. And these guys, when they're honest, you look for that clip and you just run with it. Hard work separates a lot of these guys. Of course, there's politics involved. With Porzingis, he had the world in the palm of his hand, especially in New York. Through the injuries, it was tough for him, but that's why, going back to the article, let's see if I get you guys to zoom in. Going back to the article, that step right there was major because they didn't. I don't think Leon Rose did not make this trade. He wasn't there yet. It raised eyebrows when a team in the midst of a 17-win campaign moved on from his best young player, but that's exactly what the Knicks did in trading their 23-year-old. I have a Porzingis jersey and everything. We got back Dennis Smith Jr., pair of first-round picks, Courtney Lee and Tim Hardaway Jr. Scott Perry, right? Scott Perry made that deal. Allowed the Knicks to have up to $71 million in cap space that summer. So they were doing it for cap space. At the time, we were signing like power forwards to 2-year deals. Remember, that's when Bobby Portis was here, right? Bobby Pete was here, and we had a good deal in place. We had a mission. It looked like. So this was a major deal. It basically became like a balk. I believe this, if I'm not mistaken, this pair of first round draft picks, one of them wasn't. It was top 10 protected and became Derek Lively of this year. And if I'm not mistaken, because the Dallas, that's why Dallas tanked last season, and they wanted to keep their pick, and they look genius now, right? So that was what they're saying is the first step in this in the current Knicks culture. Kevin Durant and Kyrie signing with Brooklyn. I was never a fan of signing Durant and Kyrie Irving, mostly because Kyrie at the time he was going through his growing pains, and I want to get to that. We're gonna watch that video. Legend of Winning had a great video where he broke down Stephen A. Smith sounding like a schmuck. about Kyrie Irving, and ever since going back on his word. But I didn't want Kyrie and Kevin Durant because Kyrie, those growing pains he was going through, it would have been tough to rebuild, and he thinks he's on the like. It's okay to think you're on Durant's level if you have Brunson's leadership. Even LeBron, there's a lot that comes with LeBron, but he's so talented and skilled that it's like, bro, he can make these moves. Kevin Durant, I don't know if he is a part of, the moves that are made for a team, but it doesn't seem like it, right? It seems like he's a little bit, passive aggressive. He's up and down, which I wouldn't mind if it was without Kyrie Irving. Again, if we brought Kevin Durant in here and we had a Jalen Brunson here, it would have been crazy. And remember this, when Kevin Durant said the cool thing right now is not the Knicks. What hopefully a young man like Kevin Durant learned, hey, you don't say things like this because you're pitting yourself against one of the 30 teams in the league that you might need leverage for. You still need leverage. It's bad business to do this. For me, Rich Kleiman is his agent. Rich Kleiman is his agent, which was a huge reason why the rumors were out there that he was going to come to New York. There were a lot of business in New York. Rich Kleiman is in New York, if I'm not mistaken. Rich Kleiman started his life or his business, the business side of his life, like with an underground poker tournament or gambling, basement gambling, and he's just a hustler. So you saw there was an interview with Rich Kleiman and Kevin Durant, and he was saying, "Yo, Kevin Durant was saying, bro, you don't think Rich wanted me to come to the Knicks?" Kevin Durant saying his whole family told him to go to the Knicks. Rich Kleiman was a Knicks fan, so the writing was on the wall. Just obviously he was heavily influenced by Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's personality just seems more dominant, just like his play style. For a guy 6'2", just amazing. So this was big too, right? And the Knicks largely panned in free agency that summer after whiffing on Durant, pivoted to land forward Julius Randle, a player who'd never been an All-Star but who had loads of upside. So this is the beginning of a major, major, point for us as well, right? Julius Randle becomes the pillar of the Knicks, and like with Carmelo Anthony, I always give them credit, bro. They wanted to be here, come here. They knew that there was pressure. I don't know if Julius Randle actually knew how much pressure there was. Good morning, gang. Dolan didn't want Kyrie. That's why that tree didn't fall through. I'm not sure though. There's so many rumors. I don't know I think it boils down to be honest, LB. If we're gonna be right, if we're gonna be try to be accurate about this, remember, I was a big Kyrie fan, and I just loved his game. I always, I sound like a broken record. Back then I was saying, yo, Steph Curry's the new logo. Before he was, when Mark Jackson was there, and they would there was we didn't like this is crazy. He's shooting from everywhere. He was to me, he was killing the Spurs. And so he's the top of the top when it comes to shooting. But in that second tier, like Kyrie's a part of that, right? Kevin Durant is in there, Ray Allen, all these guys, and Kyrie is so talented and skilled that it was just undeniable. When LeBron got there was a tidal wave of just power. I think Kyrie saw that and was like, "Yo, I want that. I think I got that." And with player empowerment, some people got drunk off of it. No disrespect to Kyrie, it is what it is. And I think after a while, remember, like if LeBron touched his head, LeBron was saying a lot too, like the kid. He would refer to Kyrie as the kid too, the kid, this, that, and the third. Like LeBron would like he was doing too much to me. Like, bro, you're not that. You're not 40 years old. You would. How old was LeBron back then? He was in his early 30s. What the hell you doing calling somebody a kid? You think you're hanging around. So Kyrie clearly wanted the power. Also, LeBron was coming up in free agency, right? His free agency is coming up, and it's like I'm up in limbo all over again. Kyrie knew, hey, there's a difference between having championship expectations and the real positive plausibility of it, existing, There's a difference between that and not ever making the championship, not making the playoffs, and being known to just lose. And he didn't want to be a part of that. So when they traded him, they traded him to the Celtics. Which don't you think about it? Don't you think in retrospect that was kind of crazy for Cleveland to even do, to trade him to the Celtics? We see now he's about to go meet up against the Celtics in the championship, and it's like he had the players around him. But again, Kyrie, and we'll get to that in a second. He he went through this up and down phase with the Celtics. That's why a lot of fans turned on him, and really because it felt like he turned on the fans, right? Then he comes to Brooklyn because if you think about it, there's no power struggle. Joe Tsai's a new owner. Sean Marks, he was at their mercy. He was at Kevin Durant and Kyrie's mercy, right? So I think Kyrie saw an opportunity to really be the most powerful person and the king of a team. And to me, he did that twice with the Celtics and with Brooklyn. And I just felt like I can sense that on him. And I felt like, yo, that's not a recipe to win. It's just it can get in the way. This is a real the same way you got to perform and collaborate with your team, your teammates, and the coach. You have to do that with upper management as well. You just have to. And if you go kind of going against the grain, and I felt like he was going to do that. Ever since then, though, he finds a home in Dallas, and you see the collaboration between Kyrie Irving, the teammates, the coach, the owner, Nico Harrison, the general manager over there. Super talent, super skilled. When they're collaborating together, that's come on. There's a bunch of high IQ guys over there. So we see what happened over there. We didn't have, and also imagine if the Nets did have a Mark Cuban. That would have been dynasty over there. They would have been insane because then you have a guy there who's going to oversee and check all these things that were looming. So that's the second step, right? In the what's this called? The 8 moves that fueled this New York Knicks resurrection. That's the second move that fueled the Knicks resurrection was Kyrie and Kevin Durant going to the Nets. March 2nd, 2020, the Knicks hire former player agent Leon Rose as team president, and Rose eventually hires Tom Thibodeau as coach. What did I feel about that at the time? At the time, I was damn near protesting being a fan of the Knicks because I was so disgusted with the Porzingis trade. I didn't understand it. Like I can understand if you package Porzingis in the third pick and you got a superstar out of that. I thought that was possible. I thought Dallas was so desperate to pair up Luka with like a European partner and think they're gonna have this new Euro, tandem. I thought they were so desperate for that they could have gotten more. And I thought they were in a rush to get rid of him because he was going to be a free agent or something like that. And his brother was the agent of Porzingis, that is. I just didn't feel like it was a great trade. And imagine if Leon Rose was at the helm with Porzingis here. That's a way different trade because that's really like a wash, that trade, right? So here, March 2nd, 2020, Leon Rose is in the building, MSG. Met with skepticism, Stephen A. Smith of the world. They were on they were on ESPN announcing, hey, this guy's an agent. Um, does he really know what he's doing? Right? Like, and it was fair criticism. Um, you had the Laker general manager who was an agent as well, Rob Pelinka. The Lakers didn't, they weren't looking great either until they signed LeBron. So there was some skepticism with that. I forgot how I felt about Tom Thibodeau. I thought with Thibodeau, initially, I thought of him as, the defensive guru. I know he wore players out in Minnesota and Chicago. That was following him here. We were already bad. And then you read about the CAA thing. You hire Rose and then you hire Thibodeau, and it reintroduced to you. Not only is Leon Rose a player agent, and he was a former agent, but now you're talking about he's hiring his guys. So there's trust from the top to the bottom. All right, well, these are your guys. Now you're saying it's all in your hands. Now it's your DNA, your fingerprints are all over this thing. When we take a forensic file, Leon Rose's fingerprints are all over the place. And we haven't even gotten to how they presently look. Owner Jim Dolan took a different approach in hiring Rose to take over the Knicks. basketball operations, a former player agent who'd never run an NBA team. Then, as Rose's first acquisition of note, he hired defensive-minded Thibodeau, immediately giving the Knicks an identity. Correct. Coming into the first year, New York's developing roster was pegged at 22 and a half over and under totals, but shocked the league with 41 victories and a playoff berth. The Knicks first since 2013. Thibodeau earned Coach of the Year honors. Right. And that could have been given to, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2020. So that means in 2021, right? That was when the Phoenix Suns and the Bucks went to the finals. And you could have, Monty Williams was up for grabs as Coach of the Year as well because they had a great season. But this is true. They develop an identity. This is amazing. May 2020, Rose revamps the front office and expands the organization's player development staff. The two elements that contributed most to the Knicks' years-long malaise were poor salary cap management and seemingly non-existent player development. If and when young players showed promise, they often were shuttled out of town as soon to bring in the next big name. Consider this. The Knicks went a whopping 23 years from 1999 with Charlie Ward to 2022 with RJ Barrett without extending one of their first round draft picks on a multi-year contract. That's a big deal as well, right? Brock Aller, who developed a reputation for his salary cap wizardry with the Cleveland Cavaliers, was brought in as the team's vice president of strategy. Meanwhile, Walt Perrin, who served as a vice president of player personnel for 19 years with the Utah Jazz, and Frank Zanin, who came over from the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he served as the assistant general manager of pro personnel, took over the Knicks college and pro scouting, respectively. This is all major because now you're hiring, right, a whole bunch of experience that Leon Rose did not have. So you got guys, come on, 19 years with the Utah Jazz. The Jazz were always finding talent. They were always in the running. You have to be strategic when you you work for the Jazz and the Indiana Pacers. If you catch my drift, it's a little light out there, right? Small town or small city. How you say? Yeah, like small city, small market teams. You got to be strategic. And then Oklahoma City again, small market city. And we saw what they done throughout the years. I mean, uh, what's his name from Oklahoma City Thunder General GM Sam Presti. Sam Presti has done an amazing job. 3 MVPs in Harden, Westbrook, Kevin Durant, all drafted. They're gone. He made a big mistake fumbling James Harden, not re-signing him, instead of keeping Serge Ibaka. Then eventually he loses all three players. Free agency, trades Harden. But now he's back. Potentially, you have SGA, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams probably has the least chance to become an MVP candidate, but I really wouldn't be shocked. I'd be surprised, but not shocked if Jalen Williams becomes like a top 10 MVP, top 15 MVP caliber guy. Chet Holmgren. Would it really surprise you if Chet Holmgren becomes a top 10 MVP caliber guy in the face of Wemby? Right? There's a potential Wemby rival, right? So Frank Zanin sees all of this with Sam Presti, right? The resurgence of them. Brock Aller, who developed a reputation for his salary cap wizardry with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, now with the Cavaliers, how long was Brock Aller with the Cavaliers? Let's look that up real quick. Where's your Wikipedia, my guy? Why Brock Aller chose to join the Knicks? Brock Aller had been with the organization at the right hand of Cavaliers owner. I hate these advertisements. Every website has these crazy advertisements. Brock Aller had been with the organization, the Cleveland Cavaliers, with Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert in some capacity for 15 years. Allen worked his way up from liaison and advisor on business and basketball operations to a full-time front office role in 2013, 2014. So come on now, with Brock Aller there joining the Knicks, now you have a guy right? With Brock Aller. Think about it. Brock Aller comes from the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's there when LeBron leaves and comes back. Then he's there when he's gone. Again, shout out to Kobe Altman. Kobe Altman is a New Yorker. He's from New Utrecht, Brooklyn. When the Cavaliers hired him and he went from general manager to president of basketball operations, if I'm not mistaken, before being a general manager, he was an assistant general manager. And when they gave him a promotion, Dan Gilbert said, "Yo, this guy is book smart and street smart." That's verbatim what Dan Gilbert said about Kobe Altman, right? But Brock Allen is a guy who sees all of this happening. You saw LeBron leave, come back. You saw a young general manager go from assistant general manager to general manager, and now he's president of basketball operations over there in Cleveland. So Brock Aller gets to see all of these things. I mean, come on now. You talk about dealing with an owner that's strong, personality, billionaire. Dan Gilbert's a billionaire. If I'm not mistaken, he gets it from the mud. Unlike Dolan, but it's still a strong personality, right? So Brock Aller has experience with Cleveland's small market team. You have to become creative with a small market team. He's there for that. Summer of 2020, the club brought in a pair of assistants in Kenny Payne, who worked alongside then Kentucky coach John Calipari for years, and Johnny Bryant, who worked in player development with under Quinn Snyder in Utah, in hopes of generating more tangible growth from New York youngsters. This is amazing. Johnny Bryant being with Quinn Snyder in Utah. A lot of people revere Johnny Bryant. They love Johnny Bryant. Johnny Bryant is currently up for the Cleveland Cavalier head coaching position. He developed IQ a lot. They have a strong relationship. He helps Thibodeau a lot on the offensive end. This is a major pickup. The Kenny Payne connection with John Calipari, that makes a lot of sense since this Kentucky connection. Think about IQ and a lot of these guys that come from Kentucky. Uh, Again, I'll repeat it to the world. World Wide West and Leon Rose, the heads of La Cosa Rosa. La Cosa Rosa, the heads of that from New Jersey, World Wide West from Camden. They have a connection with Kentucky. They just do. They have a connection with Calipari. So Kenny Payne coming from over there makes a lot of sense. You have to reward some people. I would love to see the background to that. You have to reward your people. So it seems like, remember, Kenny Payne works over there in Kentucky. He's abstracting some information. You come back to the Knicks with that, and now you have IQ there. And this is also probably important because I don't watch college ball, but you get to see these players and you see the environment in college basketball try to bring it to the league. So look, you have a mixture of someone with a college background, the college atmosphere, joining these veteran NBA guys. It's a great mix, smart mix so far with a Leon Rose. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, and Miles McBride were all drafted between 2018 2022. Robinson and McBride's cases are meaningful contributors in New York's slim rotation. Yeah. Let's see that next. 2022, the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson. So they think the next major move between 2020 and 2022. So it took 2 years for them in the major move. And we know how that turned out. 4 years, $104 million. And I, for one, you can say or think that that I stand on this. At the time, shout out to Sean with a W. Shout out to Sean with a W on Twitter. He's the one who put me on to this contract. 4 years, 104. For the amount of money that Jalen Brunson was making, he was going to be in the middle of the pack contract for point guards in this era. And now you have a guy who's in the middle of the pack contracts for point guards 2 years ago, a top 6 MVP candidate. The only other guy who's in the MVP candidacy that's a point guard is SGA, right? Unless you consider Luka a point guard. So yeah, let's count Luka. So Luka, SGA, and Brunson are on the top 6 point guard list, MVP list for point guards, or the point guards that made the top 6 in MVPs. Who were the other guys? I think it was Joker, Giannis, And Tatum, that's a big deal. This contract looks amazing. September 1st, 2020. Oh, right. I thought they weren't going to mention it. Knicks fall short in trading for Donovan Mitchell. This was major. We've heard all kind of rumors. They tried and failed to get Mitchell from Utah, reportedly offering 2 unprotected first-round picks along with players such as R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, among other offers. But Rose and the Knicks front office held firm and declined to meet Utah's asking price. Reportedly, among other, Rose in the front office held firm, declined to meet Utah's asking price. Reportedly, for 3 firsts plus Barrett and Grimes, prompting the Jazz to make a deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers instead. I've heard that they offered Mitchell Robinson as well. I believe this is major because I don't believe Donovan Mitchell fits alongside Jalen Brunson. He just doesn't. That's just tough, right? That's the reason for me why this was major. And of course, you fast forward to the trade of this season when we'll get there in a second. You see what I mean by fit. And that's going to become a common theme with the Knicks, who fits, whatever. And then you'll see throughout the league, all the fans are going to start chanting the same thing because it's about culture. There was the deal in 2011, which New York sent its first round pick, which later became Jamal Murray, and a third of its budding roster to Denver in exchange for Carmelo Anthony, who could have joined the Knicks as a free agent the following season. And then in July 2013, the Knicks famously made a deal with Toronto, giving up a first-round pick, which eventually was used to trade for Kawhi Leonard, 2 second-round picks, and Steve Novak, who led the NBA in three-point percentage the year before. In return, the New York Knicks got number 1 overall pick, Andrea Bargnani, and an injury-prone player who's 3-point. Why are they talking about this? This time, okay, they're comparing the Andre Bargnani deal to the Donovan Mitchell deal. This time, with Mitchell, the Knicks drew a line in the sand and had the discipline not to cross it. I think the Knicks, the Carmelo Anthony thing was looming, but this makes more sense. Well, they both do actually, because what they didn't mention here in this paragraph is that Leon Rose is Carmelo Anthony's agent, right? Leon Rose is Carmelo Anthony's agent. Leon Rose is Andre Bargnani's agent at the time, right? CAA, they're both CAA. That's why that's major. The Knicks famously made a deal with Toronto, giving up a first-round pick, which eventually was used to trade for Kawhi Leonard. 2 second, right? So this was done. Actually, it wasn't. I wonder if Masai Ujiri was here already, because I know Masai Ujiri was in Denver, and he traded Carmelo to us, which we'll fast forward to in a second how he made up for that. New York eliminates Mitchell and the Cavaliers in 5 games in the opening round of the playoffs. That was a major step to them. I don't know. That's kind of like reaching. Perhaps the best is validation. Okay. And of course, the Knicks trade for defensive standout OG Anunoby, right? A couple of teams at least were willing to hand the Raptors 3 first-round picks to land Anunoby. Yet again, the Knicks were atypically patient, and they were able to snag him this season without surrendering a single pick. Instead, they developed their young prospects and Quickly and Barrett to land the star stopper. The acquisition moved the needle immediately. Their defense improved when he was on the court from 115 points surrendered to 100 possessions without him, 19th in the NBA to just 100.9 points allowed per 100 with him, best in the NBA. But so did the Knicks offense as a result of the spacing. Yeah. All that and a dime sack. Where the paper at? And of course, Masai Ujiri was a part of this trade as well. So that's so major for us, man. Those were the. Hold on, let me blast it again. Go to the top. This was, in case you want to reread it yourself or just rewind, listen to my beautiful voice. I don't think it's that beautiful, by the way, but you let me know. The 8 moves that fueled this New York Knicks resurrection. AllBall TV. AllBall TV.
They scared, but I'm not.
They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.